What is going on, everybody? Coach Ken here. We are in week 36 of 2024. First week of September, almost down. Kids are back in school. That's just crazy to me that things have just gone this quickly. But that just means we're having fun. We were getting after it. We were having a good time, training hard, doing all the things out there, and that's just the way it goes. Time goes. And so this video, just a couple things noted over the last couple weeks, things I've listened to, things I want to touch base on, and just some things to think about going forward for everybody, coached athletes, and anyone else that may be tuning in here. A couple good quotes, I like those from things I've listened to over the past couple weeks. One was, "Don't be afraid to train hard, be afraid not to recover properly." What that means is, training hard. That doesn't mean going out and smashing yourself. That means going out, getting those distances done, getting the volume done that we need to do for the week, day after day, week after week, training block after training block. But also pay attention, to that recovery aspect. It's so big. We put so much time and focus in, at the end of our run, 5.9 miles, it's a 6 mile run. We got to run around the parking lot to get to six. Spend that extra minute running to get to the distance we need, or making sure the metrics are all checked. But can you really just spend a little more time on the importance of recovery and the importance of balancing the stress you're adding to your body to the de-stress phase of recovering for that next workout? And that could just be a 5-10 minute stretch, drinking enough water, having that extra meal during the day, simple things like that. So if we're going to pay so much attention to our metrics in training, if you could just even slightly balance out the metrics of recovery, you will see leaps and bounds there on that aspect of things, and that helps your training. That helps you train and hit the things we need to do and reduce the risk of injury and burnout. And that's also the other next thing, is just mitigating risk. Just remember that that's many things. That's the decisions day in and day in that you have to make in training. You don't have the coach in there living with you, telling you, asking you how you feel this morning. We're going to get out there and get it done. If you are really that tired, that banged up, and you really feel like you need another rest day during the week, sometimes that will actually play better than trying to force something. And then just because you want to get the numbers on the board, you know, everything in life has to have a balance. So, with right now, school going back in session, some people who are off for the summer going back to work with the school system, and stress, regular stress, even though it's not bad stress, just life stress of having busier things going on, is going to start to chip in. And especially those that are racing this month in September, leading into the peak of your training, it's a tough time to peak your training towards a race when you have all of this going on right now. So just think about that. Think about decisions you're making. Are you helping your training and mitigating that risk of avoiding some burnout or some potential setbacks that you might have in training? And just be dynamic. Nothing is guaranteed. We gotta move. We gotta shake. Gotta change things up. A lot of people have reached out. Hey, I got a lot going on this weekend. Can I get my long stuff done on Friday? Absolutely. Things change. Just because a training plan is set out with given days on certain things, that doesn't mean it has to be set in stone that way. It's a dynamic plan. It moves. It changes. As long as the majority of the work's getting done in the proper intensity, and you're doing all those other extra things outside of training that we keep talking about, fueling, recovery, all that, sleep, you're going to have some good results. And just because we have to move a couple workouts around or things like that, or modify things, trust me, you're going to be fine, especially if you have that consistency in your back pocket, which is just a huge thing with endurance sports. A couple other questions that I've had from athletes over the last few weeks is, shoes, running shoes, my thoughts and opinions on certain types of shoes or what I do. For myself, I keep it simple. I'm not the person that's going to go collect, 100 pairs of shoes or anything like that. As triathlon's just expensive enough as it is, maybe the runners want to, have a little bit of a collection there. But we collect so many things as triathletes. I'm one of those, if something works, I stick to it until I, at some point maybe want to try something new to see if there's a positive change. But if I'm having good results with something and it's not causing any issues, I tend to stick with that. But as far as shoes go, I do rotate through certain types of shoes, and it's not even worth naming the shoes that I use because everyone's so different and there's so many options out there. but I do have a more stable, neutral pair of shoes that I do the majority of my running in, almost up to that 80% that we talk about, which should be those easier zone 1, zone 2 miles. And it's just mental mind link for me with certain things is when I know I take those shoes out for the run tomorrow, if I had an easy run, I know what I got to get done. I know it's going to be an easy run. I know the purpose of it. It's going to be a low heart rate run. But when I put on my race day or my speed shoes, the pair that I wear for those, if I take those out the night before track, like when I put those on my feet in the morning, like I know that, we're going to put some work in today. It's go time. Or if I'm putting those on after a bike ride for a short brick run, like I know that we're going to be putting some race pace miles in and have some spring in my step. So it's just that mental link connection that I have with some of my training gear where I know if I'm setting out or putting the stuff on that is specific for a certain reason, I'm going to stick to that. And that's all about just proper planning, making those right decisions, and sticking to what the plan was for the day and saving all those the hard activity for the days when it calls for it. Afternoon training versus morning training. This topic has come up with a few people. Honestly, as long as you're getting the training in and you feel better, some people are just not early morning people, and that's fine. If you prefer to go to work and then get your runs or your bikes in afterwards, and that works for you, by all means, that works. For me, I just know the day goes south or in different directions rather quickly during the day. So if I plan on getting a bulk of my work done in the evening, it may not work out just because I don't know how the day is going to unfold for myself, what kind of energy levels I'll have, or as things come up and things happen. But I know that if I wake up early and I'm able to get out there and get it done, check the box for the day, I'm good. Like the hard work's done for the day. And just remember too, though, even if you are an afternoon type person, training person, and you're getting closer to race day, start trying to get some early mornings in, especially maybe on the weekends for a long session or two, just because, the races are typically early in the morning. We're going out east this weekend for the Olympic in the Hamptons, and that's an early morning. I mean, a lot of people have an hour plus drive to get out there. I think transition opens at like 5 or something in the morning. So some people are going to be leaving their house at like 4 or even earlier than that, waking up at like in the 3s possibly. So if you're not used to that, getting up early, getting your stuff together and getting out there, that might be something to work on, especially for race day, because you want to be able to have some specificity in your training in relation to what your goals are. Now, heck, if you're training for a night race or an ultra or a backyard event that's going to be going all night, you may have to train in the evening. Maybe you want to train when it's dark out. Maybe you want to train when that extra fatigue sets in after a long day. So again, you just got to be a little specific with your training and knock it out. As far as your training goes, whether I'm coaching you or you have another coach or anything like that, whatever platform you're using, we do want to have good, valid, and accurate data. And what I mean by that is, what good is a training platform, specifically like Training Peaks, that spits out all these numbers in relation to acute fatigue, chronic fatigue, fitness levels, all these different metrics, and putting peaks in, tracking 90-day peaks, yearly peaks, lifetime peaks. If the data that's going in is not accurate, and we can go from multiple levels. You don't have to make it 100% like, oh my God, I need to do everything today to make this right. But certain things that we want to work on are, look at your calendar. Are you loading a workout up from multiple devices? Are you jumping on your trainer and loading the data from the trainer, but also logging it on your watch, and now it's throwing two separate data files for the day and basically saying that you trained twice, or I've seen as many as 3 or 4 pop up just because they're using all these different devices. We want to kind of streamline things, and if you have any trouble with that, whether I'm coaching you or elsewise, just let me know. We can go through it. I'll let you know how I go about things for swim, bike, run, and what devices I use or how I line them up. So I get one file that has everything we need. So if you have the ability to have, your pace with GPS data, you can have your heart rate data on there, preferably with some type of other external device recording heart rate, so it's more accurate, like a chest strap or an arm strap. And then also with the bike, power meter wise, if we're having power driven into the file, is that power going into it along with the heart rate data? We have to push, if you're just using the bike computer, we have to push your heart rate data somehow to that bike computer file, or you can just, not send the file from your bike computer and just, load your power data as well to your watch, and your watch will have heart rate and power, and that's the file that we'll use. So it's about just syncing and getting these apps right and everything like that. And it can be daunting for some people. So if you want kind of like an analyzation of making sure your data is right, let's link up, let's talk, and we can kind of figure out, because that'll help anybody, even if you're not being coached right now. If you sign on with a coach in the future and you've been logging stuff in that platform, or you're able to push past events into that platform, we really want to have accurate data so we can look back and kind of see where you are at with your training. It's very hard to start helping someone with coaching when we don't have any past data available to us, just because it's like starting from zero. It's kind of like starting with you just got to kind of tell me where you're at, and we got to spend a little bit of this discovery phase for over a month or so to kind of figure out where you are so we can get the right amount of volume in there so we can hopefully mitigate any risk of injury or anything like that. So again, accurate data is just super important with endurance, especially if you like to validate your training as you're going on through testing and things like that. We can't compare things if they're not accurate going in there, if that's very important to you. And the last for this video today is, unfortunately, it's almost that time to talk about this topic, which is coming towards the end of the season, towards the end of your A races on the schedule for some of you. And as much as I like to stay living in the moment, we do have to glance into the future, kind of just see what's on the horizon. It's also nice to start thinking about what is next after your last or final race of the year. Just because I have seen it with coaching athletes, is kind of get the blues afterwards. You get that A race, you didn't have really anything set on the schedule or anything fun to look forward to, and you built all this fitness and peaked, and we know you can't hold that fitness, but it can become kind of like a vicious slide down, losing a bunch of fitness if we're not going to latch on to some type of program afterwards, like just into some solid base building training or fun training, kind of getting rid of the metrics of intensity and just going out and having fun, doing some group stuff, and just continuing on with the training. So it's kind of that time to start figuring out what is it that you might want to do in the off season. And inevitably, because you may be thinking about next year already and the races you might want to do, that may dictate what your off season looks like. Off season is a great time to work on some limiters that you may have, whether that's you want to lose some weight for next year, that's the time to do it. You want to gain strength, that's the time to do it. If you want to try out a different sport, that might be the time to do it. So that's something you want to talk about with your coach or myself, and we can definitely see about what the right direction for you is, because we just don't want to have that gap. The body is very adaptive to what you do or do not do. So yes, it's just week after week you just get in this routine, and look at the routine you have now with the volume this late in the year versus earlier in the year. Like, you might look back and be like, I can't believe I'm putting in this kind of work, these miles and these hours. It's just about routine and consistency and building. But if you step back and step away from that, even for a decently short period of time, that may just become a longer period of time, and it is very hard to get back into it and build that type of consistency to even get back to base building. And next thing you know, you might be wasting a month or two of what could have been productive training for next season. And if you're the type of person that does want to do better and see what you are capable of at any distance in running or triathlon or endurance sports, it's going to be the time now where we want to think about that, because you want to build on yourself season after season. That's how you get better. We can't peak for a race, take a bunch of time off, I'm talking months or the whole off season, just come back in and be like, hey, I got this race in 6 months, I want to do better than I did last year. That's kind of tough to throw yourself at like that. So we definitely want to be able to structure and build the seasons and the years properly, and that's something you have to do sometimes with talking to somebody so we can map it out and plan it out. So again, whether or not you're looking to continue to be coached, like a one-on-one type coaching, it's still good to have that talk and be able to get some guidance as you kind of set off into the sunset and maybe into the off season on your own there. And it might be just nice to have some guidance. So reach out, let's talk, let's start making those conversations, and stay safe, stay healthy, keep grinding out there, keep getting it done. Consistency is your best friend. And that's it. Stay safe. See you soon.